Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Medicine Nursing Information Session. My name is Raji Cambo, and joining me is Ruby Bajaj. She's my colleague. We're both client partners in the talent acquisition and onboarding team. We're also excited to have Subhaig Sandhu join us today. Subhaig is a clinical operations manager for medicine at Surrey Memorial Hospital, and he will be speaking to you about what it's like to work in medicine. Before we get into our presentation, I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Fraser Health provides care on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish and Nklahkapman nations, and is home to 6 Métis chartered communities. So just a little bit of an overview about Fraser Health. Fraser Health is one of 7 health authorities in British Columbia. We serve more than 1.9 million people in our region, making us the largest health authority in the province. We currently oversee 12 hospitals with a new hospital that will be built over the next few years. Our communities are growing and our services are expanding as well. So how are we keeping up with the growth in our region? We're working towards expanding 5 of our emergency departments with the renovations and upgrades at Langley Memorial, Eagle Ridge, and Peace Arch hospitals now complete. We're doubling the capacity of one of our largest hospitals, which is Royal Columbian Hospital. And Royal Columbian is currently in the midst of a multi-phase redevelopment and expansion, and it is one of the largest government-funded capital healthcare projects in BC's history. We're also opening a new hospital from scratch, which will be ready in 2027. This new hospital will be a fully digitally equipped electric facility that will modernize our healthcare network. So there are a lot of initiatives underway to help serve our communities better. I'll now turn it over to Ruby for the next slide.
Thanks. Okay, so for those of you who may not be aware, nurses in British Columbia are now the highest paid in Canada. So in addition, if you choose to work in a regular or temporary position of 0.4 FTE or higher, you'll earn an additional $2.15 an hour. Another perk is Fraser Health will now also reimburse your annual college registration fees with BCCNM. And later on down the road, should you choose to pursue specialty education to work in one of the more specialized areas, Fraser Health will cover up to 100% of your tuition fees. Next slide, Raji. So how do you apply to the RN medicine opportunities? So if you're an external applicant, you'll need to start the process by creating a profile on our Fraser Health careers page by visiting careers.fraserhealth.ca. The first step in the process would be to search for any jobs you may be interested in. For example, you could search through a search bar by typing in medicine RN in the search field, and all the medicine opportunities will come up. And once you find a posting that you're interested in and you meet the qualifications for it, you can hit the Apply Now button. Once you hit the Apply Now button, you'll be prompted to create a profile. This is where you'll create a username, password, and then you'll have an opportunity to input any information that you want to include as part of your application. You should also be able to upload a resume at this point in the application. And so after your profile is complete, you can submit your application. Keeping in mind, though, for all external candidates, if you are shortlisted for a job opportunity, we do require references. And one of the references would be from a current manager. On the next slide, I'm going to touch a little bit more about references, and depending on your experience, it might be a little slightly different. So Raji, next slide. So if you are, for those of you who might be existing Fraser Health employees, whether you're working in a different capacity, could be an ESN, LPN, healthcare aide, unit clerk, you'll need to apply using your internal MyFH info, which could be found on FH Pulse. As you can see on the slide here, it's circled. You would select the MyFH info. And then once you get into MyFH info, on the left-hand side on the search panel, you'll see an option to select Job Center, in which you would select View and Apply for Open Postings. And then you would complete the necessary steps to submit your application. So I know I mentioned if you're an external applicant, you would require references. It's the same thing for whether you're internal or external, but keeping in mind, if you are an RN, we would require a reference from your current RN manager. However, if you're not working in an RN capacity right now, but let's just say you've completed a BSN program or a re-entry program, we will request references still, but they would be from like your clinical placement or your clinical instructor, like your final clinical preceptor and your final clinical instructor. Again, it just varies on the program that you may have completed. Okay, Raj, next slide. So if you are a recent new grad, we do offer a new grad program to support new grad transition into full practice. So our new grad program is made up of 121 hours of mentorship with a dedicated RN. You'll also receive 7.5 hours of educational time, which include 2 new-hour graduate workshops, virtual sessions. You'll also get 0.5 hours of your own self-directed learning. So again, if you are a new grad, we ask that you apply directly to the new grad posting that's listed on this slide. So it's the 2023-43676. You do not need to apply to any other posting at this point of your application. So once you've applied to the new grad posting within the application itself, you can list your top 3 clinical areas and your top 3 sites. So for example, if Medicine Surrey is your top choice, you would list that as one of your choices, and then your application would then be sent out to your preferred preferences. Next slide. So Fraser Health has many options to choose from, including regular and temporary positions. In addition, you would also receive employee benefits, regular pay increases, paid vacation leave, pension, and seniority. So next, I'm just going to pass it over to Subag, who's one of the medicine clinical managers at Surrey Memorial, and he's going to provide you with a little more insight on the different opportunities you have while you work in medicine. Over to you, Sammy.
We can go to the next slide, Raji. So medicine, especially general medicine, is a great introduction to acute care for all the nurses starting out. You can work on building your competencies, time management. Then there are a lot of career pathways and advanced training where you could become a wound care clinician. There are leadership pathways. I'll talk a little bit more in further slides, like PCCs, becoming an educator. There's opportunity to be diabetes nurse. There's geriatric nurse. We are introducing new roles, especially in Surrey, with CRN, or clinical resource nurse. And not only that, these are just within medicine, but I think you can specialize in other areas like critical care, or you can work in surgical eventually, you can work in ICU, CCU, nephrology. So there are a lot of opportunities. And you can email practice transition at fraserhealth.ca with questions and help with your transition process. We can go to the next slide, Raji. So as I kind of mentioned already, there's opportunity to become a mentor preceptor within, I think, after you have worked for at least a year, we set you up with a mentorship course, and then you can take on, especially if you within BCNU, and there is a new contract where you get actually premium of $1.25 to just take on a preceptor student for training. There's an opportunity. I started out as a nurse in medicine about 12 years ago. So opportunities to become a manager, a patient care coordinator, or just do multiple roles in clinical operations. As I kind of mentioned already, the Fraser Health offers specialty nursing education sponsorship to selected applicants as part of our shared responsibility for professional development and competent ethical care. And the specialty areas I kind of mentioned already, there's emergency, there's critical care, peds, perinatal, perioperative, and transition lines opportunities, especially in emergency. Go to the next slide, Raji. So I talked about other specialty, but medicine itself is a specialty as well. You can actually do a certification for medical and surgical nursing through CNA. So I just want to highlight that there have been people that, I have a couple of nurses that have been working in medicine for 15 years on my unit, and they're happy and content and contributing and passionate about a medicine population itself. So it's an option as well, just to stay in medicine as well. We can go to the next slide, Raji. So I kind of touched on it already, but at Surrey and some of the other sites, we have, even within medicine, we have internal medicine, we have neurology, stroke unit, we have oncology, we have endocrinology, we have nephrology, we have gastro, respirology. There's a remote and rural opportunities, and it's a gateway to other specialties. So I think medicine is such a great place to start to build your skill set. And there's so many opportunities moving forward once you start working in medicine. So just kind of give a bit of a brief overview. There's medicine opportunities throughout the Fraser Health in all of the hospitals. I put some of them down here. Eagle Ridge is the first hospital that's using the Expansus online charting, so there's no paper charting there. Fraser Canyon, it kind of is a bit of a remote in Hope, so they have a loan forgiveness program as well. And just I'll talk a little bit more about Surrey because that's where I work. We have a general medicine. We have about 6 units that offer general medicine with almost about 200 general medicine beds and with a lot of opportunities for RNs. We have medicine nephrology. We have internal medicine here. We have a stroke unit with 36 beds. We have an oncology unit with about 25 beds. We have a palliative unit in the hospital with about 10 beds. We have 24/7 ICU outreach and site leader support. We have almost 1 CNE per unit ratio for all the units here. And we are working right now in creating a CRN role that will be launched over the next couple of months, where there will be a clinical resource nurse working with all the new hires and new graduates, and especially the Guineas and student nurses to help them, support them building their competencies. And we have multiple different quality improvement initiatives going on throughout, not just Surrey, but throughout the Fraser Health. We can go to the next slide, Reg. So working in a medicine network, you get to deal with diverse populations. You grow your confidence and your skills. They're complex patients, especially in a bigger hospitals like Surrey with multi-specialties, with ID, with nephrology. There's a lot of complex patients that you get to learn. And if there's a passion to move forward into critical care or any other specialties, it will build a great base for you. And there is a lot of support and learning for opportunities between the subspecialties as well. That you can go next. So these are 10 attributes that are desirable in a medicine nurse, and those are some of the attributes you build while working as well. So we are patient-centered, you are curious and you ask questions. There's a teamwork within the teams. You have integrity and honesty. You're a critical thinker, or you're starting to be a critical thinker and you can kind of build on it. You're compassionate, you're flexible and adaptable. And there's opportunities to build leadership and mentoring as you move along your journey. And you have a sense of humor, and you're a lifelong learner. Go to the next slide. That's for you guys, I think.
Yeah, so we're actually almost at the end of our presentation. We got through that pretty quick, but we wanted to really just share some of the testimonials that some of our employees have provided. So the testimonials that you see on your screen are for medicine specifically, and these are registered nurses. And in this testimonial, they're talking about essentially why they chose to work in medicine and how much they enjoy the work that they do. So these are just 2 examples of the many testimonials that we receive from all Fraser Health employees across the different areas within our organization. So you can actually see all of the testimonials that we do post on our social media channels. So we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok as well. So you can follow us to learn what's going on in our organization. You can read about the great stories and as mentioned, the testimonials that we have from our own staff who really speak so highly of, the opportunities that they have and their experiences working within our organization. And lastly, if you're interested about learning about what our current opportunities are, you can do so by visiting our Fraser Health Careers website at careers.fraserhealth.ca. So that essentially ends our presentation. So we have some time, we've got quite a bit of time actually for some questions. I'll turn it over to Ruby to see if there's any questions in the chat box.
I think the next question was patient ratios. I can't speak specifically to RCH, but I know with the new contract negotiation, there are mandated nursing ratios that are getting implemented. I don't have an exact timeline, but I think the ratios, what I've heard is 4:1. On my unit, we have for RNs, we have at Surrey, we have 4:1 ratios in general medicine days and nights, and it's 5:1 for LPNs.
Next question is, what might be the employee benefits offered to new grad registered nurses? So I think I kind of touched on some of those in regards to the mentorship hours, the workshops. You'll also be given an opportunity to work a regular or temporary position. And again, in your role, you will receive all the employee benefits like paid vacation. I think that starts at 20 days. You'll be involved in the pension plan, seniority. So you will get access to all that as a new grad as well. I was referred to Fraser Health and Health Match up to 2 months, yet my status has been on pending.
Joseph, I think we can look into your application specifically. We have seen a high volume of applications come through, so our team is diligently working through all those applications. But if you are scheduled to connect with a recruiter today, then definitely bring that forward, and we will also make note of that and look into your application and get back to you.
So I have my one-on-one session with the recruiter for Delta. If I wish to explore SMH for casual positions, how do I go about it?
Hi, Angie. I know you and I connected a few days ago. So if you're interested in Surrey Memorial, we have emailed each other. So if you want to connect with me, we can discuss specific opportunities at Surrey Memorial Hospital as well. And we can connect you in with one of the managers at Surrey Memorial. All right, I guess with that, we'll end our presentation for today. So just a gentle reminder to the people attending that if you have a session scheduled today, please ensure to log into the platform at the time that you're scheduled, and we look forward to connecting with you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.